Hello everybody and welcome to another Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Generation 1 version of Ultra Magnaus. As you can see, this is the commemorative anniversary release. In fact, it's got shortened stacks here, so shortened smokestacks, and ridiculously overlarge missiles. I mean, they just about make sense, but really this section here is just far too long. It almost borders on the ridiculous. However, it's so much so that actually when you fire it, it doesn't even come out of the tube. See, they almost border on being ridiculous. In fact, you could almost say they cross over it, but they just about work. It is disappointing, the fact that they felt the need to make those like that. So let's ignore those now, we've discussed them. As you can see, Ultra Magnaus is in car transporter mode, and based on that he quite comfortably carries two Generation 1 cars within him without any problems. If we just reverse the train around a bit, comes out, and as you can see we quite happily have skids and sideswipe, both of whom quite happily fit within him, no problems. So that's really very good how well that works. The trailer, you could, if you so wished, do that, and then as you can see you then get the upper stack of it, which again kind of works. A little bit more complex, but you can have him in both modes as well. So he does have all the normal functions you'd expect of a car transporter, in that he can transport cars. It's pretty basic, but there you go. It works well. Toy looks good as well. I think that's important to say as well. He does have articulation. I think it's called something like a fifth wheel effect. So he actually can rotate the trailer around, which is good as well. They can't always later on. Magnus comes with quite a lot of kibble. So comes with a Magnus head. This, which is a breastplate, but you can quite clearly see that's a seat. So this is from his days as, I think it was a Diaclone. I'm not sure where Magnus, if he was Diaclone or not, but most of them were. And this looks very much like it's meant to be some form of plane, doesn't it? Or some form of jet, with the engine intakes, the little front wing and a little place for a man to sit. So quite where that goes on in car transporter mode, I don't know, but that clearly is where its origins were. However, it serves as Magnus's breastplate, gun, and then he comes with two sets of hands, large and small. The reason for this is Magnus is in theory a triple changer. I say in theory, and we'll come to that in a second. So, now we're sitting in car transporter mode. Let's have a look at the first triple changer mode. This is what you don't ever really see anymore, and it's kind of unique to the toy, and it's a bit odd that they included it. And that is the fact that this transforms, the cab transforms very simply into a white Optimus Prime. With the gun, with the hand, the other hand. And then he uses the same gun for both white Optimus Prime mode and large Ultra Magnaus mode. A bit odd, but as you can see, it's a white Optimus Prime. It even comes with its own stickers to go onto him. On the arms, for example, here. It's odd. It's very odd because Magnus is never ever revealed in comics, in TV shows, as being a white Optimus Prime. I know in IDW they now say that you have the Magnus armour, which it almost makes, it's almost a retcon of this, or is it making a gimmick of it? It's hard to say, which says there's a smaller guy inside the Magnus armour, which would be this. But it's odd. I don't even know if it's a throwover from the Diaclone era, because again, it is Optimus Prime. You know, it's exactly the same modelling. Apart from the fact he's white, a little bit of blue, it is the same modelling as the Optimus Prime toy. So much so, in fact, I should have done this before. If we pull out the actual original Optimus Prime, it's identical. It's obviously except from colouring in the gun. The labels are slightly different. Otherwise, the actual model is identical. It's really weird. I know in the original version of the movie, the idea was you were meant to have Optimus Prime when he died become white shell, which would then go inside Ultra Magnus. Thank God they got rid of that idea. But it's bizarre, isn't it? Anyway, you'll probably never use this mode, because Ultra Magnus is not this version of Prime. You do, however, need to keep part of it when you're doing your transformation, namely the head. So make sure the head comes out like thus. Come back to that. So take these parts off the trailer. You saw here that these bits are flicked out. They flick like that when they're in trailer mode, and then this, so you've got two little tabs here which actually go on top of that, but you want it this way when it's in Magnus mode. These rotate down to produce the feet. That rotates out. See, there is a latch there, and a little latch there. Clicks and snaps into place. Snaps into place. Arms go like that. Don't worry, Magnus doesn't have huge arms. As you do that, they become to far more sensible proportions. So that is basically your Magnus armour, as it were. Now, Optimus Prime now needs to be added, or the Optimus Prime part. So as you can see here, he's got two little parts here on the wheels. I forgot. This needs to come out. More kibble. Now, where that was in, you've got two marks there, and you've got two holes here where Prime's hands would have gone. So you want to slide these in, so it's going in through those gaps there, and aim it so that the, well, you can't see because it's in now, but the hands, holes where the hands would have been are now where the holes where that was. And that now slots into there, and it's a really firm hold as well. Starting to look a bit more like Ultra Magnus. Still looks a little bit odd, particularly with the head. So, armour. Two outfits there. Go there and there. It's a really dodgy part here. We all know what that looks like. Don't know why it was left like that, but never mind. This now really holds in place by friction. There is a very slight indentation here and here, but to be perfectly honest, while this does slot in there, it is more friction that holds it in place. Finally, well not finally, we then got your Magnus head. And then you need the big hands, which slot in there. Your other big hand, which slots in there. The gun, and now you want the large end of the gun, slots in there. And then one missile, and the other missile. Missile launchers in this mode don't look quite as stupid. Put it that way round and suddenly you're back to being silly again. But head on, they actually are quite effective. And there we are, Ultra Magnus, sorry, Ultra Magnus in full mode. In terms of movement and articulation, he has elbows. See, that's more than most had for this era. And he can move all the way up and rotate his arms on a nice ratchet joint. And the elbows are ratchet joints as well. That is more than a lot did at this time. Hot Rod for comparison, same era. He actually also has an elbow. But that's it. His arms do waggle a bit that way and that way though, which is some compensation because he can't move his arms up any more than that. So he kind of works. He can rotate like that way. Looks a bit painful, but he can rotate like that way. But he can't move his arms up. So Magnus has considerably more articulation there. And this is the Unique Toys version of Galvatron. I don't have the G1 version of Galvatron. I'll just zoom in a bit. For some reason that doesn't. The colour schemes blend surprisingly well. Let's move Magnus out of the way. There we are. The colour schemes blend surprisingly well. Well, we'll look at the articulation, but you know it just doesn't quite bear even just the splits. Obviously, the original version of Galvatron is a similar height to Ultra Magnus, but it just looks rubbish, and the articulation is rubbish. I think the gimmick with that version of Galvatron was that he made a noise and he lit up. That's pretty much as far as it ever went from there. And then, just so we don't forget, of course, we have our original version of Prime. So that's quite a big thing. If you can hear any sounds, that's the cat. And finally, Blaster. Remember Blaster? We said how stupidly large he was. He's on par with Ultra Magnus. Gives you an idea of how stupidly large Blaster is, but never mind. So, Ultra Magnus Is he a good toy? He's alright. His articulation in Magnus mode, in full robot mode like this, is limited. I mean, he's got good arm movement, but otherwise he moves around on his wheels. I suppose in that respect you can kind of imagine him as some form of almost Dalek moving around like that, but he's got no legs movement at all. He's just a solid lump of plastic. At least he's got elbows. That's more than Power Master Prime had, who could just waggle his arms up and down like that. And actually, to be perfectly honest, I think the posability of his arms are his saving grace. I mean, if we just zoom up like this, so we ignore the lower half of him, that actually looks really good. See, that's actually on Citizen Stack posability, the other third-party toy. That does work really well like that. It's quite an intimidating, and with the light coming on, there's a more true, slightly darker blue really adds to his colours, and that's really good. It's only the lower half which is just static, and that lets him down, I think. In terms of his playability, as a car transporter, it works really well. It has good articulation. He really can carry the cars on him as well, which is good. The Mini Optimus Prime mode, well, I don't really get it. It makes a nice little bonus, but I'm not really sure what you would ever use it for. Nevertheless, there we are. So that's Ultra Magnus. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave any comments below, and as ever, click on the other links, and I will see you for the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.